The condom wrapper crinkled in my wife's purse, like the sound of something final being signed. Extra large, ribbed for her pleasure. Definitely not my brand. Hell, definitely not my size either. I'm Eric Lawson, 44 years old, owner of Lawson's Auto Repair on Maple Street in Birchfield, Massachusetts. Used to teach high school English before I got tired of pretending teenagers cared about Shakespeare. Now I fix engines instead of broken dreams. The pay's better, and cars don't lie to your face. But wives? That's a different story. "Eric, have you seen my black clutch?" Rachel called from our bedroom, her voice carrying that fake sweetness she used when she was about to screw someone over. Usually me. "Kitchen counter," I replied, watching her through the doorway as she applied lipstick with surgical precision. Red, the color of stop signs and warning flags. How fitting. Rachel Lawson, 38, director at Morrison & Associates, advertising agency downtown. Beautiful, in that sharp, expensive way that cuts you if you get too close. Tonight she was dressed for war, in a little black dress that cost more than most people's car payments. "Girls' night with Jenny," she'd announced earlier, not quite meeting my eyes. "We're hitting that new wine bar on Commonwealth." Funny thing about lies, they leave a taste in the air, metallic and bitter, like old pennies. I heard her phone buzz with a text, then another. Her laugh was different when she read them, breathier, more excited than anything I'd heard from her in months. "Jenny, you're terrible," she said into the phone, voice dropping to that conspiratorial whisper women use when they're sharing secrets. No, he has no idea. Trust me, Eric's completely clueless about everything. That stung, but not as much as what came next. Oh my God, yes, Derek is definitely bigger than Eric, like significantly bigger. I mean, Eric's sweet, but... She giggled. Let's just say size matters and leave it at that. Derek. There was a name I'd been hearing more often lately. Derek Finch, pharmaceutical rep, drove a red Corvette like he was compensating for something. Apparently he wasn't. That sounded like a gunshot. I stood there for exactly 30 seconds, processing what I'd just heard. Then I smiled. Not a happy smile, the kind of smile a shark makes before it bites. See, Rachel thought she was married to a clueless grease monkey who spent his days under car hoods and his evenings watching sports. She forgot that before I became a mechanic, I was a teacher. Before that, I was the kid who always had a plan, who always thought 3 moves ahead. She wanted to play games? Fine, but she'd forgotten the most important rule. Never underestimate the quiet guy in the corner. I walked to my workshop in the basement, past the framed photo of our wedding day, where we both looked young and stupid and happy. My toolbox sat on the workbench, organized with military precision. Marty, my assistant at the shop, always joked that I kept my tools cleaner than most people kept their kitchens. Because tonight, I wasn't looking for wrenches or socket sets. I was looking for the box I kept hidden behind the paint cans. My emergency stash of gag gifts from the auto parts store. Novelty items that the guys bought for bachelor parties and practical jokes. I found what I needed. A pack of glow-in-the-dark condoms, extra small size, with ridiculous cartoon instructions printed on the wrapper. The kind of thing that would make a grown man look like an idiot. Back upstairs, I carefully opened Rachel's purse. Her real purse, not the clutch she'd taken. Inside, along with her backup lipstick and emergency credit cards, was the pack of extra-large condoms. Premium brand, lubricated, the works. She'd really planned ahead for her night with Derek. I swapped them out, replacing her serious adult purchase with my novelty store special. Then, I added a little note, written in my best feminine handwriting. Hope these fit better than the last ones. XOXO, Jenny. Let Derek try to explain that. I put everything back exactly as I'd found it, then settled into my recliner with a beer and the remote. The Red Sox were playing the Yankees, and for once, I actually felt like I might enjoy the game. My phone buzzed around 10:30. A text from Rachel. "Having so much fun. Don't wait up." I texted back, "Enjoy yourself, sweetheart," blinking innocently. "Good morning to you too, honey. How was girls' night? You look like you had quite the adventure." "Don't you dare play dumb with me, Eric." She threw her clutch onto the counter so hard it skittered across and crashed into the coffee maker. "The condoms! What did you do to my condoms?" "Your condoms?" I raised an eyebrow, taking a slow sip of coffee. "That's interesting phrasing. I wasn't aware we were running low." Her face went through several shades of red before settling on crimson. "You know exactly what I'm talking about. Those ridiculous glow-in-the-dark things with the stupid instructions." I had to bite the inside of my cheek to keep from laughing. "Glow-in-the-dark? That sounds festive. Very romantic." "Romantic?" She was practically shrieking now. "Do you have any idea how humiliating that was? Derek opened the package and they practically lit up the entire hotel room. And the instructions for tiny explorers on big adventures. What is wrong with you?" There it was. Derek's name. Right out in the open. No more pretending. No more lies about girls' night. Just raw, honest adultery served up with a side of public humiliation. "I'm sorry, I'm having trouble following," I said, standing up and moving to the sink to rinse my mug. "You're upset about condoms you found in a hotel room with Derek?" "I'm just trying to understand the logistics here." The silence stretched between us like a tightrope. Rachel's mouth opened and closed like a fish gasping for air, probably realizing she'd just confessed to everything. I didn't mean," she stammered. 22 years, Rachel." My voice was quiet now, eerily calm. 22 years I've been married to you. I put you through business school. I supported your career. I fixed everything broken in this house and asked for nothing in return except basic respect. I turned to face her, and she actually took a step back. But respect is apparently too much to ask for. Instead, I get to overhear my wife telling her girlfriend that her boyfriend has a bigger dick than her husband. I get to watch you lie to my face about girls' nights while you're actually screwing some pharmaceutical rep in cheap motels. Eric, I can explain. I'm sure Derek will take care of you, assuming he can get past the trauma of those glow-in-the-dark condoms. Tell me, did he try to use them anyway, or did the cartoon instructions ruin the mood entirely? She opened her mouth to respond, but I held up my hand. Actually, don't tell me. I don't want to know. What I do want is for you to pack a bag and get out of my house. You can stay with Jenny, or Derek, or whoever else you've been entertaining lately, but you're not staying here. This is my house too. Actually, it's not. Check the deed. My name only, bought with money from my business before we got married. You might want to brush up on Massachusetts property law before you start making demands. That wasn't entirely true. She probably had some claim to it after 22 years of marriage, but she didn't need to know that yet. Rachel stared at me like she was seeing me for the first time. You're not the man I married. You're right. The man you married was a pushover who would have ignored the cheating and pretended everything was fine. But that man ended last night when he heard his wife laughing about his flaws with her girlfriend. I walked past her toward the stairs. You've got 1 hour to pack. After that, I'm changing the locks. Eric, wait! She grabbed my arm. We can fix this. I'll end it with Derek. We can go to counseling. I'll do whatever it takes. I looked down at her hand on my arm, then back at her face. You know what the funny thing is, Rachel? If you'd just been honest with me, if you'd said you weren't happy and wanted a divorce, I would have been hurt, but I would have respected you for it. Instead, you chose to lie, cheat, and humiliate me. That's not something counseling can fix. I pulled my arm free and headed upstairs. Behind me, I heard her start to cry. Big, dramatic sobs that might have worked on the old Eric. But the old Eric was gone, replaced by someone who'd finally learned that sometimes the only way to win is to stop playing by the other person's rules. From the bedroom window, I watched her load suitcases into her BMW 45 minutes later. She kept looking back at the house like she expected me to come running after her, begging her to stay. I stayed at the window until her car disappeared around the corner. Then I went downstairs and made myself in a rock before coming home and learning to fix cars instead of tanks. That bastard, he said simply. I never liked her. Too fancy, too full of herself. Who's the guy? Derek Finch, pharmaceutical rep. Drives a red Corvette. The pretty boy with the fancy car? I've seen him around town. Looks like the kind of guy who gets his nails done. Marty cracked his knuckles. Want me to have a talk with him? I know some people who could explain things in terms he'd understand. Not yet, but I might need your help with something else. I told him about the condom switch and Rachel's humiliating night. By the time I finished, Marty was grinning like a kid on Christmas morning. That's beautiful, man. Absolutely beautiful. But you're just getting started, right? Please tell me you're not done with her. Not even close, but I need information first. I need to know how long this has been going on, who else knows about it, and what Derek's weak points are. Information I can help with. My ex-wife works at the spa downtown, Jenny's Retreat. She hears everything. For $50 and a promise not to contest the alimony increase, she'll tell you everything she knows. That was perfect. Jenny Martinez owned the most popular spa in Birchfield, and women told their masseuses everything. If Rachel had been bragging about her affair, Jenny would know about it. Set it up, I said. But first, I need you to help me with something else. I pulled out my phone and showed him the Find My iPhone app. Rachel's on my family plan. I can track her phone anywhere in the city. Sneaky. I like it. What's the plan? Tonight, she's supposed to be at a work dinner. Let's see where she really goes. That evening, I sat in my truck across the street from the Birchfield Motor Lodge, watching Rachel's BMW in the parking lot through binoculars. The motel was the kind of place that rented rooms by the hour and didn't ask questions. Classy. At 8:15, Derek's Corvette pulled up next to her car. He got out, looked around nervously, then knocked on the door of room 237. Rachel answered wearing nothing but a hotel bathrobe. I took pictures smelling like lavender and expensive candles. Jenny Martinez met me at the front desk, a woman in her 40s with kind eyes and the discretion that came from years of listening to other people's secrets. Eric, I'm so sorry about Rachel, she said, leading me to a private office in the back. I've been wondering when you'd figure it out. How long have you known? About 6 months. She started coming in for Brazilian waxes every 2 weeks, talking about how excited she was to surprise her new boyfriend. She showed me pictures. My stomach clenched. Pictures? Nothing too explicit, but enough. She was proud of herself, Eric. She thought she was getting away with something clever. Jenny poured me coffee from an expensive-looking machine. She bragged about how clueless you were, how she could stay out all night and you'd believe any story she told you. She said Derek was everything you weren't. Successful, sophisticated, adventurous. Adventurous how? Public places, mostly. She told me they did it in his office, in restaurant bathrooms, once in the parking lot behind Morrison and Associates during lunch break. Jenny shook her head in disgust. She thought it was romantic. I thought it was pathetic. Who else knows? Her friend Tara from work definitely knows. She's been covering for Rachel, providing alibis. And Derek's friend Mick, he's a realtor, drives a white SUV. He's been helping them find places to meet. I pulled out a notepad and wrote down the names. What else? Rachel's been talking about leaving you. She says Derek promised to divorce his wife and marry her as soon as his pharmaceutical company goes public. Apparently, he's got stock options that are going to make him rich. Derek's married? Oh yes, wife and 2 kids in Lexington. Rachel knows about them, doesn't care. She says the wife is fat and boring. I felt a cold smile spread across my face. Is she now? Eric, what are you planning? You've got that look in your eyes that makes me nervous. Nothing illegal, Jenny, I promise you that. But Rachel wanted to play games, and I'm going to show in the driveway last week when he was picking up Rachel. She kept it, thinking it was mine. Mrs. Chalmers was my 78-year-old neighbor, a sweet old lady who saw everything and forgot nothing. When I'd explained the situation to her that morning, she'd been delighted to help. Apparently, she'd never liked Rachel either. That's convenient, Marty said, but he was grinning. We opened Derek's trunk and found exactly what I'd hoped for, a gym bag full of expensive workout clothes, protein powder, and cologne. The cologne was some designer brand that probably cost more than I made in a week. I unscrewed the cap and poured it out, then refilled the bottle with a mixture Marty had cooked up in his garage: fish oil, liquid smoke, and something he called essence of skunk that he'd ordered online. This stuff is nasty, Marty said, holding his nose. It'll take weeks to get the smell out. That's the idea. We also planted a bag of shrimp shells under his driver's seat, hidden where he wouldn't find them for days. By the time he figured out where the smell was coming from, his precious Corvette would reek like a seafood restaurant dumpster. As a finishing touch, I placed a bright pink bumper sticker on his rear window. Honk if you're cheating on your wife. Beautiful, Marty said, admiring our work. What's next? Next, we wait for the fireworks. I didn't have to wait long. Derek's car was towed from the Morrison & Associates parking lot the next morning after I called in an anonymous tip about a suspicious vehicle. It cost him $300 to get it back, and by then, the shrimp shells had been marinating in the summer heat for 12 hours. Rachel called me that afternoon, furious. Someone's been messing with Derek's car. This is harassment, Eric. I could call the police. That's terrible, I said, not bothering to hide my amusement. What happened? Someone put rotten fish in his car and swapped his cologne with something that smells like decay. And there was a bumper sticker about cheating. Wow. Sounds like someone's trying to send him a message. Any idea who might want to do that? The silence on the other end of the line was deafening. This isn't over, Eric. No, I agreed. It's not. But Derek wasn't my only target. A estate developer who'd been using Morrison & Associates for his advertising. He was also, according to public records, involved in a messy custody battle where adultery would definitely hurt his case. I sent him a similar email about Tara. Within 24 hours, both of their marriages were in crisis, and Tara was too busy dealing with her own problems to help Rachel with hers. That left Mick, Derek's friend and enabler. He was a realtor who specialized in luxury properties, the kind of guy who wore expensive suits and drove a white BMW SUV. According to Jenny, he'd been helping Derek find discreet locations for his meetings with Rachel. Mick's weakness was his reputation. Real estate was all about trust and respectability, and he couldn't afford any scandals. I created a fake social media account and started posting reviews of his business on every platform I could find. Nothing libelous, just factual observations about his character. Used Mick Thompson to buy my house. Later found out he was helping my neighbor cheat on his wife. Makes you wonder what other secrets he keeps from his clients. Professional service, but questionable ethics. Would you trust someone who helps married men find places to cheat? Mick Thompson. Great at finding houses, even better at finding hotel rooms for affairs. Classy guy. Within a week, 3 potential clients had canceled appointments with him. His business partner started asking uncomfortable questions. His wife found the reviews and demanded explanations. The best part was watching it all unfold through social media. Rachel's support network was crumbling, and she didn't even realize it yet. But I was just getting started. The real fun was about to begin. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Back off, or you'll regret it. I showed the message to Marty, who just laughed. Looks like you're getting under their skin, he said. What's the next move? Public humiliation, I said. It's time for Rachel to find out what it feels like when everyone in town knows your business. The Birchfield Summer Festival was coming up in 2 weeks. Half the town would be there, including Rachel's boss, her coworkers, and everyone else who mattered in her professional and social circles. It was going to be perfect. The Birchfield Summer Festival transformed the town square into something constantly checking over his shoulder like he expected trouble. They should have stayed home. I was working the Morrison and Associates booth, having volunteered to help with their display. Rachel's boss, Patricia Morrison, had been thrilled to have an extra pair of hands, especially from someone who knew Rachel so well. "Eric, you're a saint for helping out," Patricia said, arranging brochures on the table. "Especially with everything you and Rachel are going through." I'd made sure Patricia knew about the separation, framing it as Rachel's choice to explore other options. I'd been very understanding about it, very mature, the kind of husband who wanted his wife to be happy, even if it meant letting her go. "I just want what's best for Rachel," I said, watching my wife approach with her boyfriend. "She deserves to have everyone know how happy she is." Rachel saw me at the booth and stopped in her tracks. Derek bumped into her from behind, spilling his beer on her white jeans. "What the hell are you doing here?" she hissed, trying to dab at the stain. "Volunteering," I said cheerfully. "Patricia needed help, and I had some free time." "You remember Patricia, don't you? Your boss?" Patricia stepped forward, smiling warmly. "Rachel, I was just telling Eric what a lucky woman you are to have such a supportive husband. Even after your separation, he's still willing to help out." Derek looked confused. "Separation?" Rachel's face went through several interesting color changes. "It's complicated." "Oh, it's not complicated at all," I said, still smiling. "Rachel decided she needed space to figure out what she really wanted. I'm just trying to be understanding about it." A small crowd began to gather, drawn by the tension in the air like sharks to prey. Mrs. Chalmers appeared at my elbow, carrying a plate of cookies and wearing her sweetest grandmother smile. "Eric, dear, how are you holding up? I know this must be so difficult for you." "I'm managing, Mrs. Chalmers. Rachel's found someone new who makes her happy. That's what matters, right?" I gestured toward Derek, who was looking increasingly uncomfortable as more people turned to stare. "This is Derek Finch," I announced to the growing crowd. "Rachel's new boyfriend." "Derek, these are Rachel's co-workers and neighbors, the people she'll be seeing every day from now on." Derek managed a weak smile in every way. Size, stamina, sophistication. She's very thorough in her comparisons. The crowd was definitely listening now. I could see phones coming out, people starting to record. In a town like Birchfield, this kind of drama would be all over social media within an hour. Derek grabbed Rachel's arm. "We should go." "That's probably a good idea," I agreed. "But before you do, Derek, you might want to check your car. I think someone put another bumper sticker on it." He looked toward the parking area where his red Corvette was parked. Sure enough, there was a new sticker on his rear window. "My other car is my wife's husband's." "You son of a bastard," Derek snarled, taking a step toward me. That was a mistake. Marty materialized out of the crowd like a guardian angel in work boots and a Metallica t-shirt. "Problem here?" Marty asked pleasantly, but his hands were already clenched into fists. Derek was smart enough to recognize a losing battle when he saw one. He was maybe 5'10", and had the soft build of a man who got his exercise in hotel gyms. Marty was 6'2", and had the kind of muscle that came from years of lifting car parts and army training. "No problem," Derek said quickly. "Good, because this is a family festival, and we wouldn't want any unpleasantness." Marty's smile was all teeth and no warmth, especially not from some out-of-town pharmaceutical rep who doesn't understand small-town values. The crowd murmured its agreement. Derek was definitely outnumbered here. Rachel tried to salvage the situation. "Eric, you're being childish. Can't we handle this like adults?" "Adults!" I laughed, and it wasn't a pleasant sound. "Adults don't sneak around behind their spouse's back for 6 months. Adults don't lie about work dinners while they're actually screwing their boyfriend in cheap motels. Adults don't compare their husband's penis size with their girlfriend's at the spa." The crowd gasped. Patricia's mouth fell open. Mrs. Chalmers made a tisking sound and shook her head sadly. "But you're right about one thing, Rachel. We should handle this like adults, which is why I've already filed for divorce, and why everyone here should know exactly what kind of person you really are." I pulled out my phone and showed the crowd a photo I'd taken at the motel. Rachel, But what? But you're going to take care of her now? You're going to leave your wife and kids in Lexington and make an honest woman out of Rachel? Derek's face went white. How did you know about your family? It's called Google, genius. Your wife Jennifer is very active on social media. Lots of pictures of you and the kids at soccer games. I'm sure she'd love to see the photos I have of you at the motel. The crowd was starting to mutter now, and the sound wasn't friendly. Adultery was one thing, but a married man with children was something else entirely. Derek grabbed Rachel's hand. We're leaving, now. They pushed through the crowd toward the parking lot, followed by whispers and pointing fingers. I watched them go, feeling a satisfaction I hadn't experienced in months. Patricia turned to me, her expression unreadable. Eric, I had no idea. Neither did I until recently. I'm sorry you had to find out this way, but I thought you should know what kind of employee you have working for you. Yes, Patricia said slowly. I think we need to have a conversation about Rachel's future with the company. Mrs. Chalmers patted my arm sympathetically. You did the right thing, dear. That woman needed to be exposed for what she is. The crowd was already dispersing, people pulling out their phones to share what they'd just witnessed. By evening, the whole town would know the story. By tomorrow, it would be legend. I helped Patricia pack up the booth, accepting condolences and support from neighbors and acquaintances. Everyone agreed that I'd been wronged, that Rachel had gotten what she deserved, that Derek was a scumbag who preyed on married women. It was exactly what I'd wanted. But as I drove home that evening, I realized I wasn't satisfied yet. Public humiliation was just the beginning. Rachel had destroyed 22 years of marriage and made me look like a fool in front of the entire town. She was going to pay for that. And I was just getting started. The fallout from the festival was everything I'd hoped for and more. By Monday morning, Rachel had been suspended from Morrison & Associates, pending a review of her professional conduct. Derek had stopped returning her calls after his wife Jennifer showed up at his office with divorce papers and a very expensive... Been controlling her money, isolating her from her friends, threatening her. Tara leaned forward, lowering her voice. She's going to file a restraining order and try to get half of everything in the divorce. That's interesting, I said calmly. Considering I have recordings of her bragging about the affair, photos of her at the motel, and about 50 witnesses to her public meltdown at the festival. She knows about the recordings. She says you made them illegally, that they can't be used in court. Actually, she was wrong about that. Massachusetts was a one-party consent state, which meant I could legally record any conversation I was part of. But I didn't need to explain that to Tara. What does she want you to do? Testify that I saw you threaten her, that you were controlling and jealous. She's promised to help me save my marriage if I back her up. I laughed. And you believe her? No, Tara said quietly. Rachel doesn't help anyone but Rachel. That's why I'm here talking to you instead. Smart woman. What do you want in return? I want you to leave me alone. Stop the anonymous emails. Stop posting reviews about my personal life. I've learned my lesson. Fair enough. But I need something from you first. I pulled out my phone and set it to record. I need you to tell me exactly what Rachel's planning, and I need you to tell the truth about what you've seen over the past 6 months. Tara looked at the phone nervously. You're recording this? Just like I recorded Rachel bragging about her affair. The question is, do you want to be on the right side of this, or do you want to go down with her? She took a deep breath and started talking. 20 minutes later, I had everything I needed. Tara's confession about helping Rachel cover up the affair, details about Rachel's plans to frame me for abuse, and most importantly, the location where Rachel was staying and planning her next move. There's something else, Tara said, as I turned off the recording. Rachel's been in contact with Derek's friend, Mick. They're planning something for tonight. What kind of something? I don't know exactly, but Mick mentioned something about teaching you a lesson.
Harassing them.
I haven't done anything to them that they didn't do to themselves. The car, the bumper stickers, the public humiliation, that's harassment, and it's going to stop. Or what? One of his friends hefted his baseball bat. Or we'll make it stop. I see. I pulled out my phone and showed them the screen. Smile, boys. You're live on Facebook. I'd started a live stream the moment I saw them coming up the driveway. Already, there were dozens of viewers watching, including several I recognized as local police officers. You're threatening me with assault on a live video feed that's being watched by half the town, including the cops? Are you really that stupid? Mick looked at the phone, then at his friends, then back at me. Turn that off. I don't think so. In fact, let me introduce you all to my viewers. This is Mick Thompson, local realtor and enabler of adultery. These are his friends, whose names I don't know, but whose faces are now permanently recorded. A car turned onto my street, Marty's truck, followed by a Birchfield police cruiser. Officer Pete Kowalski, one of my former students, got out and walked up the driveway. Evening, Eric. Got a call about a disturbance. Just some visitors who were about to leave, I said, still filming. They were explaining how they wanted to teach me a lesson about harassment. Pete looked at the baseball bats, then at Mick and his friends. Is that right? We weren't going to do anything, Mick said quickly. We were just talking. With baseball bats, at 11 p.m., on someone else's property. Pete pulled out his handcuffs. Turn around, gentlemen. Wait, you can't arrest us. We didn't do anything. Intimidation, trespassing, possession of weapons with intent to threaten. That's plenty. Pete looked at me. You want to press charges? Absolutely. As Pete loaded them into his cruiser, I ended the Facebook live stream. It had been viewed by over 300 people, including Patricia Morrison, several town selectmen, and Derek's wife, Jennifer. The next morning, the video was all over social media. Mick's real estate business was finished. Who would trust a realtor who showed up at people's houses with baseball bats? You tell me. He hung up without answering. That afternoon, I got another call. This one from Rachel's lawyer. Mr. Lawson, my client would like to discuss a settlement. I'm listening. She's prepared to waive any claim to your business and the house in exchange for a modest alimony payment. How modest? $500 a month for 2 years. I laughed. Counteroffer. She gets nothing, and I don't release the recordings of her confessing to adultery and planning to frame me for abuse. That's not... Tell you what, counselor. Have Rachel call me herself if she wants to negotiate. Otherwise, I'll see you in court. He hung up. Rachel called an hour later. You bastard, she said without preamble. You've destroyed my life. No, Rachel. You destroyed your own life. I just made sure everyone could see it. I've lost my job, my friends, my boyfriend. I'm living with my sister and sleeping on her couch. My own parents won't speak to me. Actions have consequences. You should have learned that in kindergarten. What do you want from me? Nothing. I don't want anything from you, Rachel. I want you to disappear from my life completely and never come back. And if I do that, then maybe I won't send those recordings to your sister's husband, or to the HR department at whatever company you try to work for next, or to Derek's wife's lawyer, who I'm sure would love to have them for her divorce proceedings. The silence stretched out for almost a minute. I hate you, she whispered. I know, but you'll get over it. You'll find some other married man to seduce, some other life to destroy. It's what you do. Eric. I hung up. 2 weeks later, I received the signed divorce papers in the mail. No alimony, no claim to the house or business, no contest to anything. Just a clean break and a promise to never contact me again. I celebrated with Marty at Murphy's Diner, the same place where Tara had warned me about Rachel's plans. So what now? Marty asked, raising his beer in a toast. Back to the quiet life? For a while, I said. I've got a business to run, and a reputation to rebuild. Your reputation's fine, man. Half the town thinks you're that it took me so long to figure it out. She paused, studying my face. You know, if you ever want to get coffee sometime, And compare notes about cheating spouses? I smiled. I'd like that. Good. Here's my number. As I watched her walk away, I realized that sometimes the best revenge isn't destroying your enemies. Sometimes it's building a better life without them. Bueno said I didn't enjoy destroying them first.